this one's a little bit different. This is Jim from Paranormal Fellowship coming at you. Long time no see. But today, I'm going to talk about what happens when a family with a special needs child moves into an old farmhouse with the old farmer buried out back behind the oak tree. You'll like this. I think it's a good paranormal one. Alright, so back in the mid-90s, I got a call to go out and do a paranormal investigation at this house where this family was saying that their son, who was confined to a power chair with MS, was being attacked by some sort of paranormal entity, a ghost or a demon or something. And they wanted me and the people I was with to come out and see what we could find. So we go out there and we interview everyone, and they tell us the history of the farm. The farm was originally built by the person who they bought it off of great-grandparents, and it's been in their family for over 100 years. And they're the first non-family members to live at this location, this farm. And it said that the last guy, the last farmer who passed away, when he passed away, they buried him right out in the backyard about 100 feet from the house underneath the oak tree. So we're doing an investigation, well, I'm trying to do an investigation. You know, back in the 90s, you know, this was sort of like a party favor where everybody wanted to be around, and they had friends and family over, and they're following you around and, you know, asking you, oh, what are you doing here? What are you doing there? Why are you doing this? And, you know, and it's like, okay, you know, you can handle it a little bit. And I felt really sorry for the family because this kid, who's obviously suffered enough already, is having this stuff where he's waking up the next morning or waking up in the middle of the night with scratches and bruises and bite marks and seeing shadows in his room, and he's just petrified. This poor kid's already gone through enough. So we've had a couple sections where, you know, one lady was using a dowsing rods, and she was having them cross when she was asking questions and getting answers with dowsing rods. And we were using back then there was no K2 meter. We were using EMF meter, very limited response, and voice recorders and pictures. Nothing showed up in the pictures or the video. But at one point in the night, I decided I was going to go out and go by the old oak tree where this old farmer was buried. I'm figuring everyone else is in the house. This is giving me time to go out here and ask some questions, try and get some EVPs. You know, be good because I'm getting away from everyone. So I was asking questions like, you know, who's here? What do you want? You know, is this you?
Take exit 116B to merge onto I-80 West toward Sharon.
Sorry, I'm driving, so it's still talking to me. But I was asking questions sort of like, you know, the normal questions we ask, and this was still when I was fairly new, so I wasn't, you know, how did you die? Or are you happy? Or are you upset with the people that have moved in here? You know, and then I asked the one question, what do you want? So I'm like, okay. You know, we couldn't tell, because back then, you know, you just couldn't tell until you played it back what was, you know, he had or anything. So I put my little earbuds in, and I'm sitting there listening to trying to hear any answers. And when I asked the question, what do you want? It was almost immediately I got this answer that said, I want the boy. The boy needs to go. I'm like, okay, that's pretty specific. It's like, what the heck does that mean? Sorry, there's a state trophy sitting over there.
Exit 116B to merge onto I-80 West toward Sharon.
All right, it's supposed to be muted and it's still talking. Okay, let's just do it this way. All right, so anyways, I'm like, this is kind of creepy and kind of specific on an EVP. So I called the other people I was with and played them the EVP, and they all heard it. You know, where this voice says, they want the boy, I'm here for the boy, you know, boy needs to leave, get out, whatever. You know, it's like, wow. So, and the family asked it because they seen us all talking, so they get kind of curious. I really didn't want to play it for them, but they insisted, so I'm like, okay. So I played them the EVP clip, and they're all freaked out. we gave them our suggestion. We had one lady that was with us who brought sage, and she went through and saged the house. And we contacted their local priest and suggested that he comes over and do a blessing on the boy and the house for safety reasons. But the real interesting part, and I never had this happen before, and it's never happened to me since. So I went home and hooked that voice recorder up to my computer. Back then, you all had desktops, not laptops or Chromebooks or iPads or whatever. And I went to transfer that over onto the computer, and when I played it back on the computer with the computer speakers, the EVP wasn't there. I'm like, oh great, I did something wrong. I erased it. So I hurried up, disconnected the voice recorder from the computer, and I played the voice recorder, and everything was still on there. And I'm listening, and I get up to the point is, what do you want? The EVP was gone. The EVP played probably a dozen times when I was at the investigation on the location, and as soon as we left the location, everything else, my voice was there, but all the EVP voice talking was gone. Everything else was still intact. That portion was completely gone. And like I said, I've never had that happen before, and I've never had that happen since. I even asked the family if I could go out there and play the voice recorder and see if it would show back up again. And at this point, they were too freaked out, and they didn't want any of us to come back out there. I'm sad to say, the boy did not live much longer. He passed away shortly after. I don't think it had anything to do with the ghost that was there, but it had more to do with his medical situation. But I just wish that we could have made it so he wasn't so freaked out and so scared while he was in his own home. Anyways, I hope you all like that. If you like it, I'm going to do just like everybody else does. Like it, subscribe. You know the whole routine that everyone does. I hope you all have a great and spooky day. It's getting ready to storm here in northwestern Pennsylvania, northeastern Ohio. So hopefully we'll get some storms, and a lightning will kick us some paranormal activity. Peace out.